You ever done something and skipped some steps and you arrived at the end with something terrible? I was setting up a basketball goal. I decided not to read the instructions. Actually, I did read the instructions, but the instructions were not clear. And I got toward the end, and man, trying to pull the spring at the back of the rim was absolutely horrendous. I pulled a muscle and pinched my finger in my hand. It was terrible. And at the end, I think my goal was about a half an inch too tall. You ever try to shoot it on a 10.5 inch or 10.5 foot rim? Whew. You would not believe how difficult that actually is. Some people try to do that with their Bible reading. I'm not talking about you, of course. But some people decide to go, you know what? I'm going to read the Bible. Bing! That is where I'm going to read. And they read one verse and they go, oh, what does that mean for my life today? Those are good questions. It's maybe a good philosophy, but most of the time, not the greatest. It's maybe a good place to start, but it's definitely not where you want to stay. So here I try to teach you the principles that you need to read the Bible well. So here are the 6 questions you need to ask yourself about every verse you ever read in the Bible. 1. Who is the author? Every book of the Bible, every word of the Bible is written by someone, a person, inspired by God to write it down. But every one of those people are different. They grew up different and they had a different purpose in their life from each other. 2. Who was the original audience? This is so important. One of the biggest mistakes people can make when they're reading the Bible is assuming that the words written on the page are actually directly for them. Now, they are for you, but they were originally intended for someone else. And so you have to do your best to read it how it was originally written and who it was originally written for. 3. What is the literary context? Okay, you open up the Bible, you point to a verse, but that verse may be in the middle of a section that will gain you a better understanding for what that one verse actually means. So you have to decide the best place for you to start and end reading to gain the best picture. 4. What is the cultural context? You know who wrote it and kind of something about them, and you know who it was written to and kind of something about them, but what does that mean? What were those people going through at that time? And how would they have received the words that you're reading? Because when you know how they received it, then you might receive it slightly different and maybe even more how it was intended. We're getting close to the question that everybody wants to know and everybody wants to start with, and that is themselves. But first, question number 5. What does this reveal to us about God or Jesus? When students are in like 3rd to 5th grade, I try to teach them this one thing. You are not the main character of your story. Everybody likes to think that. Everybody wants that to be true. But in actuality, there is only one main character of the entire story of the world. And that is what the Bible is about. The Bible is about the protagonist of the earth, and that is Jesus. So if you're reading the Bible correctly, you should always have an encounter or an understanding or some kind of recollection and reconnection in some way to Jesus or God, because that is what the Bible is about. If you're not learning more about God or Jesus by reading the Bible, then you're not really reading it well. Then question number 6, what does that teach you about you? Now remember, you have to go through the first 5 questions before you get to the question that everybody wants to know. Because if you answer all those other 5 questions well and correctly, number 6, the question that you want to know about you, might mean something different and hopefully mean something deeper to you. about you. So who is the author? Who is the original audience? What is the literary context? What is the cultural context? What does that reveal to us about God or Jesus? And then what does it teach us about you? I know it seems like a lot of work, but if you answer those 6 questions about every verse you read in the Bible, oh my goodness, the Bible, I promise, will be so much better, so much richer, and will come to life right in front of your eyes. And maybe you will learn more about yourself than you ever thought you could. Share this if you found this interesting and want someone else to see it. Subscribe to keep up with all the shorts and full episodes.